We just finished our audio guide for the Tropen Museum permanent exhibition on East Indies, or Indonesia as we know it now. And in this audio guide, we start to speak from the perspective or the point of view of Sulastri, a teacher and a character in Suarsi Joyopuspito book, Manusia Bebas, or the Dutch version is Buiten het Garel.
Sinds detectief, activist, anarchy, artist, disco, copy, astronaut, axis, disease, radio country.
This audio guide is a part of Heterotropics project at the Tropen Museum.
Heterotropics is an independent research and curatorial platform which develops through collaborations with artists, researchers, and different institutions in Amsterdam to reflect and investigate the traces of colonial history and colonial desire within the cityscape of Amsterdam. So the idea is also to kind of research from an artistic perspective what projections, what narratives, what afterlives these kind of traces and ruins produce in the city. And so for me it was quite, let's say, like a natural continuation of the project to approach the Tropen Museum, like the Tropen Museum itself as a trace, as a ruin of colonial history, and what does it reverberate in the broader context of Amsterdam and Amsterdam East. Around 1 year ago, I approached KUNCI and in particular Nuraini, who was at the time still in Leiden for her PhD. And so we started a conversation about coming here to work and research so the Tropen Museum, and also more specifically the collections related to Indonesia and the Dutch East Indies, so the Dutch colonial past in Indonesia.
Unravel the archive, so
we're looking at who's this name, if it's a painter or the collector. And Gita said
also looks at the gaze of the image, which we don't really understand. How do they feel?
The way we work usually is mix between maybe like structure but also still provides room for being speculative and let the intuition guide the works. Before arriving to the museum, I was first displayed at the World Exhibition Forum in Paris, 1931. And already from the start, we thought of radio program as one of our research tools. And through this voice, I shall guide you to listen to the dreams and memories that are revolving around me. Because it is through the eyes of those mannequins that we can narrate the complexity, not only the position of Indonesia while being colonized by the Dutch, but also tell more about the complexity of the Dutch people or Indo-Dutch people living in the colony. And that's why we talk about the idea of co-sufferings. So it allows us to talk about something that is not black and white. I often think whether the youth in my motherland could ever access all of the things that are kept here.
The way we approach this particular term, decoloniality, decolonization, and decolonial practices, it's something that also has its particular history in terms of knowledge and theory, and at the same time, I think it's an important keyword because it refers to this approach in trying to disengage or undo colonial legacies within contemporary society, and but at the same time, this term is interesting on its own because in this act of moving away from colonial practices, we are actually also still somehow shaped by it, kind of, because it's never, for us at Kunci, it's never really about erasing colonialism for good, because although it's a nice idea, almost utopian, but that's the thing about utopian, is that you can never really get there. We can only be in a process of getting there. So decolonial again is important, as an important term, but I would propose to kind of like expand it to like a lifetime project almost.
My name is Sulastri, or at least that is the name that was given to my current body.
This is not the first time we are working with ethnographic objects. If the definition of ethnographic object is what we have here in Europe or in ethnographic museum, then maybe this is the second time. When we talk about concrete outcome, sometimes the concrete outcomes not in form of answer, like solution, or this is the right thing to do, but it's generating more questions about our limitation as an institution, our limitation as an intellectuals, as curators, as artists, as someone who works material, what cannot be materialized, what should remain immaterial. So it's generating limitations, I think.
Do you see the room next door? That room is full of bizarre objects, things that perhaps you could not find anymore in the place where it came from.
Yeah, the interesting part about working with sound also is this idea of reverberating, about echoing. So in terms of sound is, again, concrete, but it's not really material. But then we were wondering also how our practice here or our intervention here kind of like echo through the museum practices in the future, or reverberate, like maybe through another face or through another artist, but then there will be someone catch us or someone catch our sound and then use it again for something else, or maybe people from inside the institution themselves can also use this also as a material also for rethinking about the museum's fate. But this kind of thing is also something that we cannot anticipate from now. It's something that will happen within this long trajectory that we cannot really predict it from now. But the thing is already here and it's there, and then it waits for other people to pick up and do something about it, basically.
Okay. Bye-bye.
We are gonna see each other.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.